would like to introduce Theory of Change. I highly recommend Theory of Change as a very useful tool to guiding your impact measurement journey and mapping your pathways to change. Theory of Change is many things. It's an approach, it is a way of thinking that is really helpful in navigating the complexity of social change. It is a process, ideally an ongoing process of analysis, reflection, and improvement. A dynamic, living document. Remember our map for reference and course correction along the way in the previous discussion. It's also a product. The approach and process result in specific outcomes. A product most commonly realized in a visual map with a supporting narrative, measurement systems, and assumptions that are identified and articulated during the process. This can reflect the change map, or a map of how we achieve change for an organization or particular project, program, or fund. It may be packaged in different ways to different levels of detail and complexity for different audiences and purposes. It does not need to be complete, but should rather change over time as different lessons are learned and actors and contexts change. Let's think back to our journey through London as we chat through the common elements of a theory of change. These include your long-term vision. First, define and describe the problem. What does the solution look like? Describe the change you want to see. There are then various layers of outcomes and your immediate results. These essentially explore what must be in place in your context in order for your vision to be realized. What are the necessary steps to achieving each of the outcomes across the different levels? And what immediate results or outputs would you need in place to achieve each of your intermediate outcomes? And finally, what are the specific actions you need to undertake to achieve these results? Each of these routes, from activities through to outcomes, are known as causal pathways. They demonstrate your route for how your activities will lead to the change you want to see. Once you have this information plotted, you need to identify your indicators. These are often also known as metrics. Essentially, they are what you will measure to answer the question, have I succeeded and achieved what I planned to do? Simply put, they tell you if you are on track. Once you have your indicators, you will need to build out a framework and plan for how you will collect the information, how often, what evidence will be sufficient and appropriate, what resources this will require, who will collect the information, and how it will be stored and protected. The last component is to interrogate and highlight your underlying assumptions that influence and can impact your map. For example, your work may focus on investment in a particular thematic area such as healthcare solutions. You may be assuming that there is ample pipeline for your investment. You may find that in reality, very few opportunities are investment ready. This may lead you to include additional activities within the scope of your map, such as technical assistance towards investment readiness. Let's take a look at an example we've adapted from the finance space. It's a bank that was set up to invest in social finance organizations. This bank focuses on building the social investment market as a route to greater impact and social change. If we unpack their thinking, we see that they are ultimately interested in realizing better social outcomes for vulnerable and disadvantaged groups through their investment into great organizations. But how will this come about? They believe that by working to build the capacity of and investing in intermediaries that in turn invest in social change initiatives, you will have increased capacity within the intermediaries. This will mean that there is more money available for social change organizations and enable them to increase their capacity and reach. This takes us back to their goal of better social outcomes. In closing, please remember that your theory of change is not static and not to be put on a shelf. It and your impact measurement efforts are most valuable if they are dynamic and you continue to interrogate and challenge your thinking and assumptions. I would like to encourage you to be curious and brave. Explore what is really working and continue to seek and embed your learning and leverage your impact insights for maximum impact.